Meet Meera, a beautiful, lively hen. She spends her day roaming freely, pecking at grains and enjoying the warmth of sun. But one day, everything changes. Meera is crammed into a truck, squeezed tightly with dozens of other hens. There's no room to move, no air to breathe. She is scared, confused, and can hear the cries of a friend around her. She doesn't know where she's going. Hours later, the truck stops. Meera sees something she's never seen before. She sees one hen after another being grabbed, their wings flapping desperately. Meera's heart races, her body trembles. Then it's her turn. She's pulled out, her feathers ruffled and broken. She's placed on a cold surface, her small eyes darting around for help that never comes. She feels the blade and that's the meat on your plate. It's not just flesh, it's Meera's fear, her trauma, and her pain. Every emotion is trapped in her body and doesn't disappear. Oftentimes, the first thing doctors tell you during pregnancy is to stop smoking and drinking alcohol. And it feels natural, right? But have you ever thought why? It's because whatever a mother eats or drinks during pregnancy directly or indirectly affects the baby. But there's one thing we've never evaluated: the consumption of non-vegetarian food. Should we be really consuming non-vegetarian food during pregnancy? Stick with me for the next few minutes and I'll share you exactly how it's impacting our health, our baby's health, and what steps we can take to ensure a safer future for them. Reason number 1: your child's emotional well-being. You must have noticed how kids these days seem to be struggling more with anxiety, depression, and stress. It's not just teenagers. Kids as young as 8 or 9 are being diagnosed with mental health issues. If you look back a few decades, this wasn't nearly as common. In the 1900s, only 1 out of 100 children experienced anxiety or depression, while today it's 1 in 5. That's 20 kids in every classroom, each struggling silently with stress and fear. In fact, we are hearing stories of kids committing suicide because their parents didn't let them play their favorite video game. It's hard to imagine, right? So what changed? The science shows that there's a clear connection between what we eat and how we feel. And if we take a step back, our Indian philosophy has always emphasized on this quote, Jaisa an, Vaisa man, which means we are what we eat. So when you as a mother eat meat, you're not just eating flesh, you're also taking the fear, the stress, and the pain that animal went through. These emotions don't disappear. They enter the mother's body and are passed on to the baby growing inside of her. Our baby's brain in the womb is like a fertile soil, soft and delicate, ready to absorb everything the mother provides. When the mother eats meat filled with negative emotion, the seeds of these emotions are transferred to the baby and get deeply rooted into its developing brain. Over time, this shapes our child's emotional health, how they react to stress, anger, or fear as they grow. So, what we as mothers eat today doesn't just nourish our baby's body, it shapes their mind and emotions for a lifetime. Second reason, the reality of meat industry. Let's assume for a moment that meat is somewhat good for us. But let's take a back step and see what really goes behind the scenes. So, we are heading to our third poultry farm. We went to two others. One of them didn't allow us inside, and the second one, we went inside but we couldn't see everything so clearly and properly. So, we are heading to the third one right now.
So right now we are on the way to the poultry farm to see how the chickens, the hens are kept and treated.
तो भैया आप शेयर करना चाहेंगे कि ये कौन सी ब्रीड है?
जी यस, जो वाइट वाले होते हैं उनको बॉयलर बोलते हैं। वो बेसिकली मीट और एग्स के पर्पज से ही मतलब रखी जाती है। वो जैसे होता है उनका लाइफ स्पैन होता है शायद 42-45 दिन का होता है। तो और 20 दिन के आसपास वो क्या होता है, कच्चे से 1 किलो के आसपास वो वेट गेन कर लेते हैं 20 दिन में। तो उनको सिर्फ इंजेक्शन, नॉर्मली जो ये हमारे मुर्गे ये 8 से 10 महीने लगते हैं इनको इतना होने में, चूजे से इतना होने में, क्योंकि बिल्कुल नेचुरल।
और उसको 20 दिन में इतनी जल्दी हो जाता है। जो चीज़ 8-9 महीने में होती है वो इंजेक्शन देके 20 दिन में हो जाता है। उसका कारण क्या होता है?
वो सर डिमांड है, तो लोग बाग अब क्या करते हैं कि डिमांड है तो डिमांड को पूरी करने के लिए चलाया हुआ है कि केमिकल्स और उससे जल्दी जल्दी प्रोड्यूस करे वो डिमांड मीट कर पाए उस पर्पज से। तो उनका ये होता है 20-25 दिन में वो बड़ा हो जाता है, फिर उसके बाद वो बिकने लग जाता है और 40-42 दिन के आसपास तो मतलब वो मैक्सिमम, उसके बाद वो वैसे ही मर जाएगा।
वैसे ही मर जाएगा बिना मारे?
मतलब उनका टाइम पीरियड ही इतना होता है
क्योंकि इसने इंजेक्शन लगा दिए कि जीन
जी, उसमें कुछ होता नहीं है। आप उसको अगर यहाँ पे छोड़ दो तो सारा दिन यहीं के रहेगा, वो ना दौड़ सकता है ना ही सकता। तो आप देखते होंगे जो चिकन की शॉप पर जो वो एक केज सा बना होता है उसमें जहाँ रखते हो वहीं पे रहते हो। जो बॉयलर चिकन है उनमें तो मतलब 100% वो जितने भी व्हाइट वाले मिलेंगे वो सब में केमिकल ही थी, केमिकल और इंजेक्शन से उनको पैदा करके। तो भी नेचुरली बड़ा होने में उनको 8 महीने लग रहे हैं, वाह वो 20 दिन में उस वो पूरा मतलब आप देखेंगे तो पूरा केमिकली मतलब वो डेवलप किया हुआ है। वो कुछ अलग से फीड नहीं खाता, बाद से कुछ जो नेचुरल एक इन्वायरमेंट में उसमें जाता नहीं है, तो वो मतलब उसमें कुछ है ही नहीं। आप देखेंगे तो वो सिर्फ एक केमिकल से ही बना हुआ है, तो उसमें केमिकल ही होगा। तो जो भी खा ले तो ज़्यादातर बीमारियाँ जैसे पेट से रिलेटेड बीमारी हो जाती है, कुछ और भी जो किसी को शो नहीं करता, किसी को साइड इफेक्ट हो, तो बहुत सारे हैं जो मतलब उनको मतलब साइड इफेक्ट ही।
There are so many blood stains we see here. There's so many feathers. The truth is, animals today are less found in farms and more in factories. The meat we eat today isn't food, it's a product of a billion-dollar industry that cares about only one thing: profit. What we see on our plate isn't just meat, it's an animal loaded with injections, antibiotics, and chemicals. To meet the massive demand for meat, animals are brutally injected with growth hormones to make them grow unnaturally big or unnaturally fast. Animals are not raised to live, they are bred for one purpose: our consumption. Let's dive in and see the true price our baby is paying as we consume meat. Just like a car needs right fuel and engine oil to run smoothly, our baby needs two specific hormones without which its growth can be hampered. Number 1, progesterone, and number 2 is estrogen. Progesterone is like our baby's shield, boosting blood flow to the uterus and making sure our baby gets proper oxygen and nutrients. And estrogen, on the other hand, is crucial for the development of our baby's heart, brain, and other organs. When we consume meat injected with growth hormones and chemicals, it imbalances our natural hormonal rhythm. These artificial hormones disrupt the production of progesterone and estrogen, leading to improper brain development in our child, whose effect can last a lifetime. A child with underdeveloped brain function may struggle with focus, have a shorter attention span, and really find it hard to keep up with his peers. This not just impacts his performance in learning, but also significantly affects their confidence. So you see that the meat we eat today is simply not flesh, but a product filled with chemicals and antibiotics, which causes so many imbalances within our body. Reason number 3, the myth about protein consumption. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Protein. These days it feels like everyone is chasing this one word, protein. And yes, protein is important for muscle building, tissue repair, and our baby's development during pregnancy. But here's what most people don't realize. Animal meat doesn't just give you protein, it also comes with a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol. When there's too much cholesterol circulating in the blood, it forms fatty deposits on the wall of our arteries, much like clogged pipes. Over time, these fatty deposits narrow the arteries, restricting blood flow, which means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reach our baby, directly affecting their growth and development. Reason number 4, your child's spiritual well-being. Have you ever heard the saying, what goes around comes back around? This is called the law of karma. It's something we find in all religions and teaching, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Quran, or even science. So think about this. If we are causing so much pain and suffering to innocent animals, isn't that pain, that suffering bound to come back to us? As mothers, can we once pause and reflect? Can our child be truly peaceful and happy while consuming something that comes from so much pain and suffering? Imagine the pain of another mother losing her child. A child she loves just as we love ours. Is it fair to take that away from her simply for the sake of our taste and perception of good health? Now, if you think about it, even biologically and physically, our bodies are not designed to consume meat. Look at our teeth. They are flat and rounded, perfect for chewing fruits and vegetables, and not sharp and pointed like lions or carnivores, which are made for tearing meat. Our intestines are another clear sign. They are long and coiled, about 25 feet in length, designed to slowly digest fiber-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, and grains. Carnivores, on the other hand, have short and straight intestines, allowing the meat to pass through quickly before it starts to rot and release toxins. Even our nails tell a story. They are flat and blunt, ideal for picking and peeling fruits and vegetables, not sharp claws for hunting prey. Now think about it. If we put a baby, an apple, and a rabbit in a room, what will happen? The baby will instinctively eat an apple and play with the rabbit, and not the other way around. This clearly shows that we aren't born to eat meat. It is something we are trained to do. So, dear mothers, just by changing what you eat for 9 months, you have the power to protect your child's emotional, physical, and even spiritual health. The sacrifice is small, but the gains are immense. What are we really giving up? Just a few cravings for a short time, but in return, getting the best health for ourselves and our baby. We know this may sound overwhelming in the beginning, and we understand if you've been consuming non-veg for a long time. Making this change might seem a bit difficult, but remember, this journey is not about perfection, it's about progress. Here are 2 small and simple steps to make this transition easier for you. Step number 1. Start small and be consistent. If you are eating meat twice a day, try cutting it down to once. If you are eating it 4 to 5 times a week, reduce it to 2 times. You don't need to make big changes overnight. Just focus on improving 1% every day. But make sure eventually you are completely cutting it down. Step 2. Educate yourself. Start watching documentaries or shows that talk about the reality of non-veg food, how it's made, its impact on health, and the effects on animals. When you understand the truth, it becomes easier to stay motivated and make better choices for yourself and your child. So we've linked some suggestions in the description box below and you can check them out. That's my time. I've presented you with some facts and realities about the meat industry. And now the decision is yours. You have the power to shape your child.